What's up, Facebook? We are live at Bruce Gregori and at Jazz. I'd like to welcome you here to the Wednesday show. And of course, we have a great show planned for you. Now, we are powered up by our good friends at Ecamm, helping us out to stream every day, every way, every possible kind of configuration that we can. Now, I should say up front today, we had hoped to have Peter Hendrickson from Hendrickson Amplifiers on the show today. However, we're having some technical difficulties. No surprise there, with everyone in the world seeming like they need to work virtually and streaming. So we're having some difficulty connecting Peter in via Skype and through our Ecamm portal. However, we plan to reschedule him coming up soon, and we're working with the Ecamm folks to get that corrected. So we'll make sure we have that happen. But you know, a lot of great things happening in the world of jazz, particularly on my end, and I'm sure on your end. We working hard today, filming the Solo Artist Toolkit Module 1 and 2 and maybe 3, I'm not sure. And so that's coming along great. I'd like to put a big shout out while I can right now to my Patreon page. Now, on the Patreon page, there's 3 different levels that you can help to support, help me keep making videos, help me keep providing content and good music to you folks. And for $1 a day, you can just become an official Patreon of my site. And that entitles you not only to content, but it also entitles you to help, again, support me making videos, which is really, really important. And, you know, again, if you want and you are a musician and you're interested in education and learning, $3 gives you an all-access Patreon and gives you some private instruction with me. And if you ramp it up to $5 a month, that's $60 a year. You get free lessons, free videos, a bunch of other different kinds of things. However, you don't need to be a musician to support this effort. You can just do it out of the kindness of your heart if you so choose. And listening, of course, is just enough on my end, just so that you know that. Once again, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Of course, we have none other than Razor's Edge, and they keep my cabinets powered. You see my Razor Edge cabinets in the background of this video feed. Of course, GHS strings, and I wouldn't be anywhere without the wires that run on my guitar, and GHS helps me out with the Bruce Gregori custom set 15 to 54, if you so choose to try that out. None other than Benedetto Guitars, Jackson Evans and Bob Benedetto, Howard Paul down in Savannah, Georgia, and they help us make sure that we got the most neutral instruments we can to play the music that we play. And of course, it wouldn't be a show without me giving an honorary mention to Mr. Jeffrey Ding. That's right, Jeffrey Ding from Speak Friends Cables. They keep our cables cloth covered and kind of moving along the way they need to with nitric ends, and you know, they're the best sound, so we're wired up with those today. And of course, I'm running through, unfortunately we don't have Mr. Hendrickson here, but I'm running through one of his products today, Hendrickson Amplifiers, and into my console. But we'll get Peter on. He might be out there listening anyway, and maybe he'll give us some feedback about what he's working on. But we'll have him on the show coming up, don't you forget. So again, like to thank you for joining us today. I get a lot of support, a lot of questions about you know, how I'm doing this, how I'm making things happen, and again, you know, this virtual way is kind of the new way, and that's what we're working on here, to kind of bring music to you. And that's what, you know, my enjoyment is as an artist. And I'm sure there are a lot of artists out there I see in Facebook land and YouTube and Instagram who are kind of doing the same thing. And we're all here to support everyone we can. And, you know, it's really important that you also support the restaurants, the places that we play, because they're having a tough time too. And this is the real deal here in the United States. And we want to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe, and everybody's doing the things they need to do until we get the all clear that it's time that we can kind of get back to life as normal. So I'm going to play a tune. It's a very unknown tune. I'll talk about the artist who wrote this tune and kind of the interesting life that she had. That's right. I said she. You don't see a lot of jazz standards written by ladies, and this tune is for you. All right. That song was called Close Your Eyes, and it was written by a lady by the name of Bernice Petkere. And her name actually, I believe, is spelled Petkere. She was from French background, a French background, from Chicago. Her parents were French Canadian. And the curious thing about Bernice was that she was a vocalist and played and worked in a lot of vaudeville acts. She was born in 1901 and she died in 2000. So she died at the age of 101. So it tells you a lot about jazz musicians. You know, us fellows, we tend to die young, but the female jazz musicians live a long, long life. So there might be something to that. We might have to find out what the secret is there. But Bernice only wrote 2 jazz standards. That one called Close Your Eyes, and both of them were songs of love, I guess, essentially. That particular song, you know, had a melody, Close Your Eyes, and it was kind of like that. And she wrote another song called Lullaby of the Leaves. And those are 2 very revered jazz standards, somewhat unknown and underground, but I figured those are good songs to kind of put out these days to kind of get our universe working in our favor. You know, we really need that. So we have a couple guests on. Oh my goodness, Miss Mary Bennett, good to see you. Long time no see. What does Mary say? Let's give her a quick shout out. Sounds great. Yep. Yeah, man. I hope so. I hope so. We get to see you live too someday. You know, I say someday. I hope it's going to be sooner than later. But you know, those great times at La Cucina up in East Longmeadow, or it might be Hamden, Massachusetts. I guess it is. And maybe someday we'll get up there for it too. Mr. Bud Buddington, long time, my friend. Good to see you. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. And of course, we have Cynthia on the line and a few others who are out there hanging out on live today. I think I'm going to play another tune. If you have anything that you're interested in, send me a note, and absolutely will. I'd like to say before I play the next tune, a couple of folks have been sending me some notifications about, you know, well, what kind of technology or what kind of tracks. I'm doing all this live kind of on a shoestring. So I haven't pre-recorded a whole lot or anything really, unless I'm working with a track, but I am recording a solo artist video series right now, kind of going over some of the techniques I'm using. So if you're interested in that, check out my Patreon page. You can also check me out on YouTube, which is just Bruce Gregori, or at brucegregori.com, or facebook.com/Bruce Gregori. So if you set one of those, you're lucky to find me. So yeah, Mary, soon, I bet. All right, so let me play another tune here. I think I'm going to play a blues. And this is a tune by one of my guitar idols. And I was just talking to another gentleman offline. He mentioned something about Joe Pass to me. And, you know, gosh, I listened to Joe Pass as a kid and he boggled my mind. I didn't know what he thought. I thought, honestly, he was playing a chord and just playing notes and then playing another chord and then playing notes. And I had no idea. I couldn't fathom what he was doing until someone said, no, man, he's playing the notes within the chords. Get it together, bro. And then once that was clicked, I said, wow, I get it. And now you have to go out and do it. And it's a lot harder than it sounds, let me tell you. But I think I'm going to play a tune by Mr. Pat Martino, another relatively unknown tune. I'll tell you the history about this after I play it. Yeah. Mr. Pat Martino. I wouldn't be an honorable guitar player if I didn't give him at least a quick mention, and it's almost every show. But Mr. Pat Martino, that's a song called Blues for Mickey O. And Mickey O was code name for his father. So he wrote that tune for his dad when he was 22 years old, and he played it on an album called Strings. You might have heard me mention that album in the past, and just a slow kind of grinded out blues, and it makes you feel good when you're sitting in a club and you know the temperature's nice outside. You might have yourself a drink or two or three, and you know, just the blues and the band is jamming. And that is one tune that Mr. Martino kicks it out. He's known for his speed, and I've been accused of playing a little bit fast too, but there's nothing like a slow blues to make things happen. And of course, so, and you know, we got a lot of friends on the line today. I want to mention too, again, we were supposed to have Peter Hendrickson on air today, but Peter, unfortunately, the connection and with Skype and technology and everything happening, it didn't seem to work out for us today. So we weren't able to get him on, but we will get him on next time, I promise. And we have a lot of good friends coming up. Mr. Barry Greene, guitarist extraordinaire. Mr. Jackson Evans from Benedetto Guitars. Mr. Jimmy Bruno, you know, he's unfiltered all the time, so you might want to make sure you got the doors shut and the kids away when he's on air. And of course, we have Razor's Edge, Mr. Jeff Fleischer. We got a couple other friends. Jeffrey Ding is going to come on. Hopefully Bruce Foreman and Tom Lippincott will try to get those folks happened up. And a couple others. And we'll take it like that. So make sure you tune in, especially tomorrow on the Thursday show, when I'm going to kind of go over some different kinds of techniques in playing. And of course, I've got my good friends out there listening in Radioland. We got Mr. Efron Ramos on the line today. He's out there listening. What does he have to say? How's everything? Well, you know, man, everything is different. That's how it is. People ask me all the time. I get messages from people. How are everything going? You know, what are you doing? You know, are you just doing nothing? And it's actually funny because I tend to work harder now than it was when I was on the live circuit gigging. But things are good and they're different, and but we're making it work, and that's what it's all about. I'm glad you tuned in. I appreciate it. Thanks so much, brother. I think I'm gonna play another tune, and I I decided I think I was going to play a tune by Wes Montgomery. That was my thing. I think I've been closing things out with Wes a little bit, but I think that's kind of where I'm going to head with this one. And this is a tune I just recorded in my solo artist toolkit. Don't forget, if you're willing to contribute to my Patreon page, that'll help us out a lot. And this tune's going to be included in that if you're a guitar player or musician and you want to kind of get your arms around it. All right. Full House by Mr. Wes Montgomery, one of my favorite tunes in the world, and I may have played it several times already, so I really enjoy it. Once again, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsors, Razor's Edge, GHS Strings, of course, Hendrickson Amplifiers, Speak Friends Cables, Benedetto Guitars, and I apologize if I'm missing anyone on the line, but those are the people that kind of keep me running. Gonna take a few more calls, and let's see. Oh, we got Mr. Joe Munier. I hope you're listening out there, brother. What does Joe have to say? Yeah, man. Highway Star. Man, it's been a long time since I walked into your little practice room and teaching area and Guitar Academy in Agawam, Massachusetts, right? And you know, I had a list, I don't know, of how many tunes. I think you may have said, go home and write down all the songs you want to learn, and I must have came back with 5 pages back and front of all the songs. And I remember you taking that list and saying, all right, we're going to learn Highway Star first, and by Deep Purple. And I can't remember, but I just had a conversation, Joe. You may remember this better than I do, about Joe Pass. Someone mentioned about Joe Pass to me, and somebody there at that studio gave me a Joe Pass record, and I don't know if it was you or someone else, but I remember that moment, and I took that album home, a couple other albums too, I think it was, and I just didn't know what the hell was going on at the time when I was listening to that, but I still listen to my friend. And just as a side note, there's a gentleman that plays with Richie Blackmore, lives in Ridgefield, Connecticut, and I sub for him on a few gigs on Wednesday night. So he talks to me a little bit about Richie and his on-stage behavior. But he's still out there doing your thing, and I know you are too, man. So good to see you. I appreciate you stopping by, Joe Munier. Man, I can't thank you so much for everything you taught me. I appreciate that. So once again, friends, I am Bruce Gregori, and we are at Jazz, the Wednesday show. I encourage you to stop by tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be doing some other stuff. I'll have some different tunes I'll be highlighting, and hopefully some good news about our connections with Skype, and trying to get guests in so that we can provide you the best show we can. And I will see you on the flip side tomorrow. Thanks. Peace.